Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications as well. Make sure you're scanning the QR code screen in that bottom corner to download the One Football app, our sponsors today. There's also a link in the description below. Like most England fans, we kind of reacted to another defeat, relegation from our pot within the Nations League. The fact that the past 4 to 5 games for England have been horrendous in terms of performance. And when you're a Man United fan as well, there's almost an element of sort of double bubble with this because Harry Maguire is at the center of these conversations again. And there are a percentage of Man United fans and there's some sort of ex-Man United players that we're going to delve into that are kind of out there defending him. And what they're doing is very clever. It's an excellent form of defense from certain United fans and ex-United players, and of course Brandon Williams, who did it as well. Is they're lumping all Man United fans into one group. Very clever technique when it comes to online criticism. Let's just call everybody little idiots. Let's call everybody trolls. Let's say everybody's doing it for clicks. Let's say there's no validity to what is being said. But the evidence is clear. The evidence is there that the criticism of Harry Maguire is very much needed, very much justified, and should not stop. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that you participate in abuse. It doesn't mean you need to become nasty. It doesn't mean that you need to be calling him obscene pejoratives. All of that needs to be called out, even if you're someone that dislikes Harry Maguire. But for everybody to be out here defending him, for himself to be out here again in press conferences, for me, I call it lying because it is lying. He's so tone deaf. People around him are so tone deaf. The people defending him are doing him absolutely no favors. These are enablers of his behavior, and they will make him a worse football player because he's not taking ownership. And no matter what it be in life, whether it's admitting that you've got a problem, whether it's admitting that your business is failing, whether it's admitting that a relationship is breaking down, whether it's admitting that you are underperforming in your job, you have to take ownership. Maguire is stuck on the denial curve, and he's stuck at stage one. He kind of teeters into the anger section, which typically comes next, but then he's pushed back into the denial phase by friends of his, ex-colleagues of his, and some of the media outlets, and of course some of the fans. And it's never going to help him. And I'm almost at a point where I just feel like saying, I am saying it. Harry Maguire, please shut up. Now, we saw after the game for England the other day, he said that I think people can make a story about me. I'm the Man United captain, so it's going to make big news. So for that reason, they do it. They like the clicks and things like that. But I went into the Euros after an 8-week injury and did not play one game and got into the team of the tournament. And again, the end of that little statement is proof to me personally that the leaks via ESPN of him blaming the likes of David De Gea, saying that it's David De Gea's lack of communication, that there's a lack of pace around him, and that is why he struggles. Read what Maguire says here. Everybody's talking about me for clicks. They're just doing it for stories. I went into the Euros after an 8-week injury and did not play one game and got into the team of the tournament. And then you read these things. David De Gea's lack of communication is the reason that the defense is struggling. The lack of pace in the team is the reason that Maguire is struggling. And if you look at Ruben Diaz at City, he would struggle at Manchester United, and Harry would thrive at Manchester City. Just read the statements and how they come across. For me, they're almost identical. If you were comparing handwriting, you'd be seeing the same lines going across T's, the same types of dots above the I's, the same little towels on the A's and the E's. If you're a handwriting expert, you would notice that, but you can hear it in the way in which he speaks. He doesn't just own his poor performances. You did well for England, brilliantly, in fact, at the Euros last year. Great. But that doesn't stop the criticism after 12 months of poor form that is seeping over into England duty now. And it wasn't maybe 6 months ago, but it certainly is now. And people are annoyed that you're not listening to the criticism and taking ownership. And this was seen after the game as well. And I'm going to paraphrase what you said, Mr. Maguire. But you basically said England controlled the game against Italy. England controlled the game. I don't quite know how we lost. If we'd have been better up front, we would have won the game. Taking no accountability for the fact that you got caught on your back post. And if it wasn't for a save from Nick Pope, you'd have gone 1-0 down in the game earlier on. Italy had the clearer chances. England from front to back played pretty poorly. You weren't the only one, Maguire. You weren't the reason solely England lost that game. But almost the same, defensively, we were fine. We progressed the ball well. And Maguire was, and I've seen the stats, our best ball progressor. We progressed the ball well. We controlled the game. It's not our fault we lost if the strikers were better. Now, the reason that annoys Man United fans is we've heard him do this about Man United on a regular occurrence. It's if the attack scored more, if the goalkeeper behind me communicated better, if there was more pace around me, if the coaching was better, if the manager was better, if the system suited us. All of these things he has either said directly in post-match interviews, in press conferences, or via sources in the media. So when we hear it from him on England duty, the echo is loud. The similarities are there. And I don't believe that these stories that have come out about Maguire are not true. Now, I will say again, he doesn't deserve abuse. Equally, though, online, these top reds, remember these top reds, I go to games, we're not the trolls online. Remember, these glazers, as I like to call them, the people feeding the glazers, are also now defending the bad traits of the captain Maguire. Let that sink in for a second. The people that profess to be the best fans in the world are again tone deaf to what will actually help the club. And that's making the captain accountable, making him look at himself. As I mentioned earlier, if you've got an addiction problem, if you're struggling at work, if your relationship is breaking down, you have to sometimes look at yourself. If 6, 7 relationships are broken down for the same reason, if 4 or 5 bosses on the bounce have let you go for the same reason, look at yourself. You have to take ownership. And these top reds that fund the Glazers, these top reds who continually defend Maguire and put all criticism of him into the abuse bucket, you're damaging Manchester United. You think you're being a brilliant fan, but these actions, these old-fashioned adages of I'm going to stand by my people no matter what, you damage them. Tough love is needed, and that's what Maguire needs to go through. Now, you see the likes of Nemanja Vidic coming out and saying what people are doing to him is a disaster. Everything has limits, and some of these people writing on social media, they don't have their own lives, so they just have to write bad things about someone else. Now, from an abuse point of view, I agree here with Vidic, but I believe what Vidic should be saying is Maguire should be taking the criticism from the fans seriously, the criticisms from the journalists seriously. He should be taking accountability for his own actions, but of course, we should all come together and push back against the abuse. But this is the problem with the polarized world we've created. And I've been speaking about this for 4 or 5 years. You're either a criticizer and abuser all wrapped into one, or you completely and utterly support him. There is no, I mean this sincerely, and I don't even mean it in a horrible way. I'm starting to believe that less than 5% of the population has the brain capacity and the cognitive ability to be able to dislike a player or think a player should be dropped, criticize them without stemming into abuse. And equally, people that like the player can't listen to the criticism without throwing you, the person that's criticizing them, into this, you're just hungry for clicks. You're just doing this for attention. You're just an abuser. You're just nasty. Well, you can believe what you want, but I'm not saying anything that's untrue or abusive. So the things I'm saying are true, are facts. We've heard him say it. And then I'm giving you my opinions. I've not said nothing nasty about him. Saying he's in denial isn't nasty. I believe I'm actually trying to help Maguire more than the people protecting him. And these are the kind of things that I'm talking about when it comes to calling out some of the delusion and the denial that's running through Maguire that isn't going to save him. He said, on my form, I don't know what has been said. I don't really read about it. Now, firstly, we know that isn't true. How we know that isn't true is the fact that the likes of Chiellini, the centre back, was it Bonucci or Chiellini? One of the centre backs of Italy was talking about it. Brandon Williams is talking about it. Nemanja Matic is talking about it. Your close friends and family are speaking to the media about it. You are responding about it. To say you don't read it is another lie. It's another lie. Of course you read it. Of course you see it. You're active on social media. It's impossible for you not to, Maguire. I came off the back of 3 positive games with England in the summer and a good preseason. I felt really good. Now, of course, he's talking about his poor start to the season. Now, I just want to hone in on something for a minute here. I want to hone in on one little thing he said. This goes into all these other delusional things that have been said, either directly by himself around, well, I got into the Euros team after not playing for 8 weeks. I can play now for England, or I can come back into the Man United team and no problem. When it comes to the De Gea call-outs, when it comes to the pace call-outs and everything else, when it comes to him blaming the attack for England and Man United and never the defense, never owning up to his own mistakes, always talking about the good things that he feels he's done and ignoring all his mistakes, not taking ownership, all of his enablers around him, pump him, not bad ideas. But essentially, the way I look at it is this. You know those singers that go onto the X Factor that get laughed at, but their mum and their dad and their brothers and their sisters have told them for years they're good singers when they're trash? You set them up for failure. And that's what the people around Maguire are doing, and it's what some Manchester United fans are doing. But let's go back to that final bit that he said. I came off the back of 3 positive games with England. This is a lie. This is England's last 5 games. This is England's last 5 games. How on God's green earth have you just come off the back of 3 good games for England when we haven't scored a goal from open play in over 456 minutes? We got beat by Hungary, drew with Germany, drew with Italy, and then we got absolutely smashed and destroyed, ripped to pieces, annihilated by Hungary. This is the overarching point here. Man United fans are out here defending Maguire, calling people like me and others abusers. You're wrong. I'm not abusing him. I'm trying to help him. Harry Maguire needs to take accountability for his own poor form. He needs people to bring him back into the real world because the man is at the height of denial. It's creating delusion, and then he's not addressing the problems, whether it be diet, training, application, the way he prepares for a game, a combination of everything. We don't know what the issues are, but because he isn't looking at the problems, because he thinks he's playing well, he thinks he's not a problem, it's everybody else around him, he's never going to get better. So protecting him and saying, everyone please stop criticizing Maguire, it's not going to help him. Everyone please be nice to Maguire, it isn't going to help him. I agree with one bit, and that is stop the abuse. But until Maguire wakes up and smells the coffee and says, I'm in poor form, I've been dropped for excuse me, I have been dropped for a reason. I'm in poor form. I'm not performing how I want to. Until he takes ownership of that and stops blaming others, he's never going to get back to his very, very best. Maguire, please shut up. Please stop talking. Get back to the drawing board and cut the people out your life and stop listening to the people in your life that are telling you that you're playing well and that you shouldn't be dropped, because it's damaging you, mate. It really is.